Hey everybody, Joel at North Aquatics. Thanks for stopping by. Nothing too crazy this week has happened, but we did move some fish around last week, so figured we'll take a spin around the room, see what's new, see any updates, and I guess just do a weekly update for this week. Here's our 75 gallon that we moved our yellow lab and Bunas in. There's 7 of them in here, and you would never even believe there's a single one, because as I was explaining in the last video, every time I move these guys, they hide for a few weeks. I mean, I'm sure it's just a comfort thing. They are a rock-dwelling cichlid in the wild, I believe. That's why I put them in the tank with the pile of rocks in it. But yeah, every time I move them, it's a couple of weeks of regular feeding in the same spot in the tank, every time, same time, every day, and then eventually, once they settle in, they will come out and hang out with me in that one spot where the food goes in. But this tank's kind of boring, so we'll move along. Just a pond with some single-tail goldfish. It's almost springtime. Same deal as last year. We grew up a couple goldfish, and then they go into my sister's pond, which is like massive. Here's Carnage. Trying not to shine the light like in anybody's eyes, but trying to get rid of some of the glare in the fish room so you guys can see stuff. Our Florida gar, super cool fish. Most boring fish in the fish room because they are an ambush hunter, so they sit still and wait for things to come to them. You probably saw the 2 single tails racing around in here that live with them. They're 2 that if they don't become food for him, there's one, there's the other one. If they don't become food for him, they'll go to the pond too. They're pretty big. They're like over half his size. So he's been eating some Endlers, which is, here's another tank to update on. These Endlers are the ones that I'm getting like only females out of, unfortunately. Which, I mean, we're making a ton of them, but like all female. So I think slowly but surely they're just gonna get fed to Carnage. Somebody mentioned it might be a temperature issue, but the temperature's never changed here, and I used to get males, so I don't know what the heck. So yeah, I mean, they're just gonna end up being food for him. Likely won't sell too many more of these unless people want females, which they don't. They either want males because they're colorful, or both so they can breed them themselves. In this little 5 gallon that I like never talk about, this was the world's smallest batch of white clouds, and you can see one way back there by the light because I got a feeding tube in the way. I'm always so prepared when I film. I never leave stuff in the way or anything that I have to move as I go along, but you can see them darting around in the back there. I literally got like 5 out of this spawn. So here they are. They're about big enough now that they can go into the big white cloud tank to grow up and then be sold. This tank's empty, except for our cherry shrimps and our snails. Waiting for our next batch of white clouds to grow out. This tank, it's like going to be impossible to see if I can get the light on it. These are our most recent batch of white clouds. World's second smallest batch of 6. I used to get, you know, upwards of 50, like 100 in a spawn, but I've been getting small spawns lately. Not 100% sure why. I'm trying different things there. And then a whole nother isolated tank of Endlers that again are spitting all females, that used to spit both males and females. But I think I'm pretty much done with like the Endlers and the guppies anyway for now. They're I know they're like a high demand fish and everything, but for whatever reason I cannot keep males. It's so bizarre. The Endlers, I sold my males and I kept a bunch of pregnant females, and the pregnant females only spit out females. And then the guppies, all my males died and the females are already pregnant and they're spitting out fry. We'll see what they turn into, but I don't know. This is a tank I keep very dark substrate, lots of plant cover, because this is where I breed, there's one, my dark blue shrimp. And if you don't keep the tank very dark, they don't stay dark. But there's a perfect example of a very dark blue shrimp, which is what this tank is set up for. And then of course our last male beta. Again, still haven't sold him, had some interest. I like him, he could live his life out here. This is also where I breed the snails to feed my pea puffers, which you can see there are tiny little snail dots everywhere. And yeah, we'll move on to some of our bigger guys. And of course the big boys, Moto and Mickey, the Oscars, the pleco, the like almost foot long pleco, and then here comes finally our electric blue jack Dempsey. He was very hiding a lot in the beginning when he went in the tank because he is small for the Oscars, but I gave him plenty of places to hide and he stays hidden unless I'm around now. But they don't really go after him anyway. They don't really seem to care. Now he comes out to this side of the tank because this is the side that I feed on, and then when I'm not here, he goes back to his little humble abode. He's starting to realize now that maybe food isn't coming, so he'll retreat a little bit. He lives mostly in this log with my Raphael cats, which you can barely see. They pretty much just come out in the dark, but they will come out for feedings here and there. But anyway, yeah, these are all fish that either are big or are going to get big. Moto here usually likes the hand, so you do a size comparison. And you know, I mean, I have big hands and he's, you know, bigger than my hand, so just a fun monster tank. These are my wet pets. They'll likely never be any breeding. This is all just for fun and for looks, because they are, I mean, they're like dogs. They know you, they hang out with you, they like getting treats from you just like a dog would. So yeah, just a fun tank. Moving along to our most successful breeding project I've ever had, over the course of like a month. I haven't made, they've made so many babies, are these high fin Variatus Platies. And keep in mind, none of these breeding tanks are even filtered. There's a male, and then the females are pretty much all the other colors, but the first generation of babies, like this guy right here, already starting to get color. And then there's another generation, about yay big, nowhere near getting color. And then in the plants and a lot of times down in the grass, there's yet another generation of like just born ones. So I mean, we're making a ton of these high fins. They love our water. They probably love my 3 times a day feeding schedule even more. Keeps them always ready to breed, always ready to grow. And the live plants, along with a little bit of water changes here and there, keeping the water clean. So super successful, and just such a neat fish. I also got some of these elephant snails here too to try. They have one baby at a time. They do really well in our water, so we will see what happens, as well as some red cherries in here. And most of the time they're buried down in this spawning mop and you never see them, but I'm hoping for some babies of those guys to come popping up soon in here. But we'll see, time will tell. And here's our next batch of, again, like expert filmmaking here. Next batch of white clouds, just the adults, waiting for them to spawn. Definitely get a lot of that like protein buildup, not running filters, but not the end of the world. It's actually good for breeding tanks because babies will eat that. They're just spawning into marbles and a little bit of moss, Java moss. Hopefully it'll hide enough eggs that when I pull the adults, they haven't eaten any. And we can get a huge spawn. Just the next thing I'm trying to get bigger spawns of these guys. And I'm gonna have to take a break from filming because my furnace is about to come on and it's pretty loud. So here's a 125-gallon grow out dedicated just to white cloud growing out, and then when they get adult stage, this is where I pull them from to breed them. Their newest partners are more cherry shrimp, because I'm just trying to get cherry shrimp growing and breeding everywhere in the fish room. They are pretty high demand, as well as all sorts of color ram's horn snails. But these guys love the flashlight, and let's see if they'll do it. If you shine the light in one spot, they like tornado. It's really weird. And then you can see all of them from that side of the tank and that side of the tank came over just to where the light was. I guess it's a good way to get a head count on how many I have in here. I do have spawning mops in here as well, so if they want to spawn, maybe some of the eggs won't get eaten, but with the snails in here, I mean, I've never been able to breed them with snails in a tank. That's why I do it in buckets. I can clean the buckets out if any snails make their way over on a plant or something. Yeah, just a lot of action in this one. It's actually right by my recliner where I sit in when I'm just down here enjoying things, and it's fun to just sit and get it on the action. So yeah, I'm gonna wait for my furnace to turn off because it blows air right in front of the last few tanks I have to show you. So yeah, my camera doesn't pick up my voice very well, but then I will check back in with the rest of the update. Well, apparently my furnace runs forever when it's freezing outside, so might as well put my feet up for a minute. Here's the view I get anyway. Walk around to the whole room. This giant horseshoe shaped fish room. Alright, now that we can film again, here's 2.5 gallons that are just doing cherry shrimp. They're probably going to scatter when they see the light, so pay attention. These 2.5 gallons are producing more shrimp than I've pretty much produced anywhere else. But they are sole shrimp tanks getting high calcium foods, and the water's not getting changed like barely at all. It's just getting topped off every few weeks. So the parameters are staying super consistent for them, temperature staying super consistent, and that's the kind of stuff that shrimp kind of thrive on. They don't really have much of I guess footprint, you could say, when it comes to like biological waste. Like, so you don't really need that much like biological filtration for them. Like, they're not going to create a ton of nitrate in the water and poison the water like fish do. So I just kind of let them go and they do their own thing, man. Moving on to this disgusting goldfish tank, which is great because that means that they have completely removed this tank of duckweed over the course of a couple weeks, and now the hornwort can grow in like I want it to. But yeah, they completely destroyed the bottom of the tank because they ate the duckweed. They created waste. And then these mystery snails that like to parachute are slowly churning through that. But because of all of this, there is higher nitrate in the water. A lot more light's getting into the water column now, and it's getting covered in algae. But in all honesty, the fish don't care. They'll thrive in it either way. And the mystery snails will actually feed off of it, and they keep laying nests all over the place. There's one like on the inside of the top of the lid, which we'll never see. One back up there. So I'm probably just gonna let it go and see how many mystery snail babies I can get out of it. I mean, the plan for this tank is I think I'm just gonna do fancy goldfish. It's a 55 gallon, maybe 2 more, you know, grow them out to be softball size, and just do 2 different types, maybe like a ranchu and I don't know, a bubble eye or something crazy. I don't know, but we'll see what we can find. We're going fish shopping in a couple of weeks. Hopefully that'll be on the channel. But yeah, so super messy, super on purpose. Cool to me. Probably looks ugly to most of you guys. Our pea puffers in the 20 gallon. There's 4 of them. There's one right there. They'll eat snails. They'll actually eat most flake food and pellet food now too, just because through like starvation. I hate to say that, it makes me sound so bad, but through you know, not offering them much more than that for a little while and only feeding them very lightly in live food, I have gotten them to convert to flake food. They took to it a lot better. The gar did not. He starved himself for weeks on end, and I felt bad and started feeding him. yeah, super neat little fish. They let the shrimp in here live, which is surprising. I threw a lot of my cherry shrimp culls in here, and you see them swimming around once in a while. Once they get to know you, these fish will be your best friend, just like the bigger ones will. They're sitting here right by this feeding hole I have in here. There's one of my shrimp. Just waiting for food to come in. So, really personable. I have not noticed any aggression whatsoever with these guys, like at all. So I'm not saying that they're not aggressive. I'm saying that I haven't seen any aggression, but people have claimed they are aggressive. So careful with tank mates. Definitely nothing with long fins. They do fine with the white clouds and stuff, as I've had to cycle white clouds through this tank. But nothing long fin. They'll probably nip the, you know what, out of their fins. 2 10 gallons. This one's our guppy failure tank. So the females and the babies, if they spit, just hanging out in here. See if we get any males to grow out. And then of course the frog, who is of course gonna hide. So pull the camera out. Just one African cloud frog left. Don't know if I'm gonna sell him or if I'm gonna keep him for life, but you know, we'll see what happens there. But yeah, not much to see there. These guys, the super sick platies that I bought, have made like the best comeback in I've ever seen out of a platy. So we lost one of the 5 due to some sort of sickness, and then the other 4 are now spitting generation after generation of babies, which is cool. Trying to catch them all. There's one there. One just dove up into the duckweed. There's a younger one there. And they seem to have really cool color patterns on them. They're all like speckled, which is awesome, because the better the color, the more likely I'll be able to move them. So this is going really well. We are, and I'll never find them. We're down to like 1 male and 1 female pleco in here, believe it or not. A lot of my plecos, oh, there's an orange baby. A lot of my plecos actually didn't survive the medication. There's 1 male bristlenose up under this log, usually, or down inside of it, usually, and then 1 female bristlenose somewhere, and you'll probably never see them, hardly ever on camera. But yeah, so this tank turned into a total win, which is awesome. But again, just a ton of live plants, a ton of cover. That'll happen with the Livebearers. My catch-all, or my more rare Tetra tank, the blind cave tetras. That furnace is coming on again already. The blind cave tetras that are absolute like madmen in the water, never stop swimming. And then the bloodfin tetras that are very robust and able to kind of protect themselves. They do really well together because the blind cave tetras, being blind, they feel everything with their mouths. So if they bump into something, they bite it to be able to tell what it is. And the bloodfins are able to hold their own because they are bigger. Can be a little more aggressive. They're fast. They'll get out of the way. You would not want to put these cave tetras with all the other tetras, pretty much, because they would likely chew them to pieces. And that's it. Glad we got to end on a positive note for this one. All right, guys. Like I said, not much going on this week. Just a fun update, if you want to call it that. Should be some cool stuff coming up ahead. I reached out to one of the pet stores that I'm hoping to visit, see if they'll let me film in there, so we can start doing like store tours and stuff, as well as just like the breeding projects to continue on. At very least, I'll get some new stuff that we could play with, new fish to try out. But anyway, yeah, thanks for tagging along if you made it this far in the video. Thanks for subscribing if you subscribe. Please do if you don't. It would mean a lot to me. And as always, thanks for stopping by.